Generally, I'm not feeling 40k tournaments. I've rarely been to big events. They tend to be so far away that I have to get a hotel and travel the day before and stay overnight, and there are plenty of smaller events nearby within like an hour's drive. I'm lucky to live in the UK for that. I go to events that have an interesting premise, something different. 1500 points instead of 2000 points, an escalation campaign. I want to go to a Dominatus tournament event, but haven't found a local one yet. I want to go to a Conflict 47 event and see what other people have. Not so much bolt action. That has a Horus Heresy problem of everyone is the same but with slightly different colours. Oh, a regular infantry squad? Me too! But the biggest international or national tournaments have never interested me. I don't care about being the best. I could be the best Adeptus Sororitas player in the UK or in the world, or I could be slightly above average. I don't care either way. I seem to be a good teacher, and I want to have fun with my sisters, which does include an unusually high number of battle sisters. Fun is what matters when playing a game. I was tempted by the Grand Narrative event, but it's very expensive, and the tournament pack says 1000 point games, which is good, that's different, but the event times are enough for a 2000 point game. I don't want to bring the wrong amount of models based on what some information says in one place compared to another. And I don't know how the narrative will work if it's not the Dominatus deck, and we don't have Crusade in 11th edition, unless this was to be the last Crusade event while all factions have their 10th edition codex with Crusade rules. But I couldn't find enough information about what was happening, so I skipped it. Because that's in South Wales. I'm in Northeast England. They're literally different countries. There's a lot to like about tournaments. I like to meet people that like to play the game that I like playing, and we can complain about Games Workshop together. But the tournament speed of games, to play 2000 points in 2 hours and 45 minutes, get in, get it done, that's how hookups work. That is the speed and the style, and that is what tournaments are, and I want something more. Not, hello, my name is Christian. Shall we take our clothes off? I mean deploy our armies. That isn't meeting someone, that is rubbing our armies against one another for a bit and then moving on. There's fun to be had, but for a lot of opponents, I want to get to know the person, I want to chat to them. But I only get to talk to them properly if we're done quickly, and I don't want it to be over quickly. I want to take my time and do it right, and not think back on it when it's over and say, I really shouldn't have put that there, it was obviously going to get crushed. After a long day of long tournament games, there isn't much energy or time left in the day for other activities you might want to do with a person. Maybe sitting and drinking, maybe karaoke, maybe something else. But not for long before going back home or going back to a hotel room, but just to sleep. You can only do one kind of casually meeting up with people, assuming you're putting all your energy into the tournament event. In 11th edition, I'm still getting and hearing reports of the same problem I made a big thing about in 10th edition. People are not finishing their games. Round 4 ends are still common, and then the organisers have to decide if you stop counting scoring from the end of the previous battle round, or maybe you do primary mission scoring at the end of the turn instead of the command phase. In 11th edition, a lot of the primary missions are scored at the end of the turn instead of the command phase, and you score at the end of turn 5 for both players. What if your opponent played their turn 4 normally, scoring primary at the start of the turn and secondaries at the end of the turn because it looked like you had enough time? Should you then be allowed to score primary at the end of turn 4 because it is the last turn? Or not because it is the 5th turn like the primary mission card says that you get to score at the end? Please run smaller points events. 1500 points is an excellent size if given the same amount of time as 2000 points. Then you can play it right. You can look up rules instead of just believing the other person when they say something. Then you know at the end you've done it right. When games are ending early, if it was only 4 rounds or if one player conceded, that wasn't tracked in 10th edition. Not in tournaments or anywhere else. But now Games Workshop has the 40k app where a lot of people play and track their game. It asks at the end if it ended early or if one player conceded. Hopefully Games Workshop will notice if lots of people say they're not finishing their games because there's not enough time for all of the things that 40k demands. I know the average normal game of 2,000 points takes most players about 4 hours, including setting up. Tournaments also now have a setup step. Previously, they would lay out the terrain for you, and you would just play on the terrain that's on the table. In 11th edition, there are different maps, depending on the mission you're playing. So at the start of any game, you need to first organize the terrain layout, and make sure that matches whatever A, B, and C layout you're playing for the game. If it's a 5-round tournament, it tends to go A, B, C, A, B. If it's a 3-round tournament, you'll play A, B, then C. And the first 5-10 minutes of your game is putting the terrain on the board with the squares in the right place. And the triangles in the right place, usually the center. 40k has a lot of rules. Your disposition, your army rule, your detachment rule, every single unit rule, before we even get onto the core rules, and then the mission rules, and then all of those things for your opponent. Games Workshop has already cut down the amount of time it takes to play a 40k game, in theory, because it used to be 6 turns, rather than 5 turns. But that was just to accommodate all of the extra rules that were added between the different editions of the game. Always more rules get layered on every edition, and then every 2 years we have a big-ish reset where a lot of rules go away, but by no means to the point where it was less than it was 2 editions prior. These give people more time to play the game. That you can do at home or in a club a lot of the time. It's not something that's allowed at tournaments, most tournaments. Tournaments are given this holy status as the right way to play. Oh, there's no FAQ to solve this problem, but at such and such a tournament they did this as a solution. That doesn't mean we need to take that as the rule. You can play how seems right in the moment if you can't find the rule. Tournament FAQs are shown to be wrong by newly released Games Workshop errata all the time. No, they weren't doing it right. They had the totally wrong interpretation that took the most extreme wording, and then Games Workshop puts out an FAQ saying, no, not that. No. But I've heard some players, whether they go to tournaments or not, saying, well, this is how they play at official events. Tournaments are not some gold standard of play. Unless it's the final games of a really big event, no one is observing the games to check for rules errors, and with the time pressure, there's a lot of, if you say so, instead of checking a rule. That is really how they do it at events. I have also had tournament organizers give the wrong rule answer because they half understood the situation and go off the rule as they remember in their head. There is a lot of getting home and finding, oh, that is not how that rule works at all. It isn't even up to interpretation. That was simply wrong. Tournaments are not everything. They are not the pinnacle of the game. They're just another way to play the game, and play it rather rushed. When you are playing the game with an opponent, you can play how you want. How tournaments do it should not matter. Maybe you want to pull in the maximum 1 command point per battle round extra that isn't in the core rules, but is in all of the tournament packs, but that's up to you. If you want to follow the basic game rules and have loads of command points, that could be fun, as long as you decide before the game. If you've got like multiple ways to generate command points. There is another more recent change to tournament rankings within an event that I don't like. Point difference is taken into account for pairing and final position. You can see this most obviously in team tournaments. Your score is not out of 100, it's out of 500. Or rather, most events do it where each of the 5 games contributes 20 points to the final score out of 100, and these points are given based on the difference between your score and your opponent. Every victory point you get helps your team, regardless of your winning or losing, and the points difference between the teams determines the overall winners. You essentially start with 10 final points, and every 5 victory points difference at the end of the game, the winner takes a point from the loser. So if the final score was 94 to 80, that would be 2 lots of 5 higher, so the opponent would get 12 final points, and the loser would get 8. That would then be combined into a final points of your teammates to get a score out of 100. So this means your team could lose 3 games or narrowly lose 4 games, but overall win because the 5th game was a crushing victory with 100 points to 35. A difference of 50 victory points or more is 10 lots of 5, making it a 20 to 0 points. So combining a team, it could be 13 to 7, 12 to 8, 11 to 9, another 11 to 9, and then 0 to 20. The overall score is 47 to 53. The side that lost 4 games won that round because one person obliterated their opponent. So teams are encouraged to have no weak links and also to utterly destroy their opponent. No getting casual and friendly and helping them to get a few more points at the end. No easing up once victory is assured. You have to deny them every victory point they could get, keep intense pressure on them, kill everything they have, kick them while they're down, rub salt into the wound, add insult to injury, add metaphor to simile. On the flip side, you can't see that you have lost and slow down and chat to your opponent. You have to bitterly fight for every point. It is a very intense fight to the end, even when the result of the game is obvious. Chess tournaments also have the same problem. Oh, you're winning? Well, I'm going to drag this game out to the point of exhaustion, and maybe you will make a mistake and I can force a stalemate. Pairings are arranged between the teams to make this sort of thing happen. This is not a side effect. It is intended. 4 losses but 1 crushing victory could have been the plan of the team that won overall. You put one of your best players against the person you perceive as your opposing team's weakest player to have a good chance of crushing them. It comes down not just to experience with the game, but also army lists, which are very skewed at tournaments. I may have an army with lots of flamers that's very good at killing infantry hordes. Oh, I got paired against terminators. Oh, next game I'm against chaos knights. But I have to scrape as many victory points as I can in a fight I know will be near impossible from the start for me to win. I still have to play this difficult game. And lists deliberately skewed to one thing are very common in teams for this reason. It's a stat check. Do you have enough bullets to fight off 120 Genestealer cultists? Do you have enough heavy weapons to deal with 5 massive knights? And if my flamer force was against the cultist horde, I have to destroy them all without mercy as I look at my opponent who can see that they can't win. Sorry, child, whose first tournament event this is. I have to destroy you, otherwise I'm letting down my team. It's for reasons like that there are higher reports of cheating in teams tournaments. It comes down to the format. If you're in a singles event or a normal game and you're 40 points down near the end, it doesn't matter what you do, you've lost. Clawing some points back won't mean much. But in a teams event, because of the scoring, you want to do everything you can until the last second to get points for your team. Cheat scoring 1 more secondary by fudging a save so you have 1 model left that can score it? That's not okay. But if it meant the game was 17 to 3 instead of 18 to 2, that 2-point swing difference could mean your team wins. At singles events, there are fewer reports of cheating. Watch out for round 4 cheating if you have won all your games so far, or whatever is 1 game away from the final. Whoever wins is in the final. That does something to people's minds. They get the twitch. They know that they beat everyone at their local club. They know they're a good player, and the deciding battle is so close, just 1 more win.
You want to know why I cheated, right? It's quite simple, really. I had to win. I'd made winning my whole life. And when you make winning your whole life, you have to keep on winning. No matter what. A gold medal is a wonderful thing. But if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it.
It doesn't happen so much in 3-round events. In your second game, you are in the same position as half the players. You won 1 game and are 1 win from the final round. Short events are alright. Takes less time for stakes to develop, and if you're not having loads of fun, it's only going to last for 1 day. But the real reason I don't play in teams tournaments is because if I can get myself and 4+ friends together for a weekend, I don't want to be split up playing strangers. I want to play with my friends. We will do our own mini tournament or play an apocalypse game and show off our big toys. Oh cool, you painted up a Tyranid Daimakuran? Yeah, add that to your Dark Eldar army. They capture beasts, it makes sense. And then there's the violence. It's very rare to have anything bad happen, very rare, but more common than at your local club. I have never been punched at an event, but other people have. At tournaments, this is a competition more than a game. That is what the setting makes it. There could be no prizes, no money, no trophy for the victor, and all the same, people will get very heated. You are not playing with your friends that you know and trust. You are with strangers, and this guy just wiped out one of your best units before they could do anything. And hang on, you had to take 10 saves, but they rolled 10 hits and you're sure they missed one hit. Was there sustained hits? What's up with that, my guy? Didn't you have one miss? It's whatever. He says it's whatever? It's whatever? Seriously, my best unit that I spent days painting to get right, that cost me all of my disposable income for a month, and it's whatever? Are you kidding me? There can be a lot more flared tensions, and at the ITC in Leicester, the team's tournament that took place in the middle of August, there was some punching exchanged in the car park. One person who had a lot of alcohol closed into engagement range from 2 parking spaces away and punched his previous opponent. They were both Necron players, so this is like if Orican got drunk and punched Trazen while he was carrying some of his stuff to his museum. It was a very short altercation, but violence happened regardless. And that's not the sort of thing you get at a local club where pretty much everyone knows most of the people there. You have to be on your best behavior because this guy's mum knows your mum, and you wouldn't want your mum to think you were fighting over toy soldiers. The points difference thing, that type of scoring, has also come into singles events. More places are pairing based on the points difference between you and your previous opponents, and you're ranked based on how many points you won a game by, not by how many victory points you scored. Some people like this, but I think 2 players who scored 100 in their previous game and won should go together in the next battle, not the player who won 100 points to 90 against a new player who beat another new player 45 to 35. But the same points difference is there, they each won their game by 10 points. Win path is still used. If you won 2 games and lost 1, you play someone else who won their first 2 games and lost 1. That will depend on the number of players you have available, but within that, points difference is starting to be used more. There was one event I've been to in 11th edition where we were arranged into groups of 6 and you played each of the other players in your group. That was weird, that was different, which is good, but it was a weird way to do it. I won 5 games because there were a lot of beginners in my group and came second overall because a Necron player in another group had beaten their newbies far harder than I did. Then they were the ones that got the Imperial Agents Combat Patrol as a prize, not me. My points could have been higher, but I don't like crushing people, especially new people. At a tournament, once I know I've won, I will help my opponent to get more victory points. Tell them why I'm doing things, not just what I'm doing. Keep up their spirits, give advice if they allow it, so that ultimately we have a close game and they finish the match having had fun. That is the most important factor in any game. Was it fun to play with me? With victory points difference as part of your overall score, as soon as I lose a game, I drop way down in the rankings. You're in the top rankings until you lose a game, so I could go from 4th place to 40th by losing my 4th game. And people would whisper, is he even good at this game? Of course not, he brings 2 exorcists. Everyone knows that's a bad idea. This point differential as a factor came to be most obvious to me about 6 months ago. I thoroughly beat a guy, not a super nice guy, and then went on to win another 3 games, losing in the final. Fair enough. I came 3rd overall, the person who I played last was 1st, and the guy I beat in round 1 came 2nd. I beat him, and he places higher than me. That can't be right, but that's the result of this differential scoring. It happened because victory point difference was the pairing factor. His 2nd game was against the player who came last. He crushed them. Then had games against the people in the lower ranks and got a high victory point difference. Whereas each person I played, I think only had me as their loss. I was consistently against good players who had won all their games previously, obviously, and then would go on to win more games. Two very different paths in the event. I'm not salty, he said, saltily. I was ranked lower because I showed mercy and eased up. I had okay, let's see what happens when my best combat unit fights your super tough brick, hammer and anvil, the unit I've been avoiding all game. Now I'll charge it, now that victory's assured. I would do that instead of saying, no, you can't surrender, I need to destroy every one of your models on the board optimally. And that's not what I'm about. I do like how Games Workshop recommends you do rankings in their event pack, though few places do that. The idea there is if you beat someone that goes on to win their next 2 games, you are ranked higher as a result of their success. They are good, but when you played, you were better. And also, if you beat only low-ranking players who lose every game after you, then your own ranking suffers, as the tiers then place you above them, but not by much. Victories and defeats matter, not how much you won by. So for all of those reasons, that's why I'm avoiding more of the bigger, more super impressive, many people's, really strong players 40k events. Smaller events where I can play some wild and weird list and it has mild competitive chance, that's what I'll be doing more of. You may also be aware that I'm in the All-Stars Chrono Cup tournament, but that's based on pure victory or defeat. The victory point score difference does not matter. The highest wins, nothing else. And once you lose your second game, then you're out. Maybe tournaments are for you, maybe they're not for you, maybe certain kinds of events are perfect for you, like narrative events. The flip side of this video is that tournaments can be really fun. Even the supposedly worst tournaments have a very big enjoyable element to them. That's a whole video you can explore if you so wish. Play 40k the way you want to. Play so that you have a great day of 40k.